Welcome, everybody, to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast, America's #1 podcast for new real estate investors, where we know that finding discounted properties is the most proven path to financial freedom. I am your host, Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP, and I am telling you this: if I can do it, so can you. So let's get started. All right, now listen. This is really critical, all right? The people that you go after, the property owners that you are targeting to start a conversation with, to get into their world, it is absolutely critical that you are going after people that are in distress, people that have a problem with a property that you can solve, all right? People will trade equity in their property for speed and convenience. That's what we do. What we do is we source real estate opportunities by going after people that have a problem that we can solve. And that's why I am so excited to bring on to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast from PROBATESdaily.com, Tangi Cousins, a huge friend of the Rhino tribe. So Tangi, how are we doing?
Oh, thank you so much for having me on here today, Brent. It's great to be here, and I'm doing fantastic. It's Christmas time. I'm feeling great. The day's great, and I hope you guys are doing well at Wholesaling Inc. and TTP.
We are. I'm excited about this this conversation because, you know, one of the big mysteries in real estate investing is probates. And that's because it's kind of like this weird kind of like the courts are involved, and then you've got other people that are inheriting a property involved, and you're not quite sure how to get the information from the county to be able to get in contact with somebody. And do I call them? Do I mail them? Do I text them? What do I say? It's a sensitive time in a lot of people's lives. They've just lost a loved one. And, you know, how do we first of all, Tangi, how do we get the information to be able to know that we are going to have a good quality conversation with somebody that has the potential of selling a property that they're about to inherit?
Well, Brent, we actually have a team of researchers that work directly for PROBATESdaily.com and have for almost 20 years now. And they do a really good job of data mining, and they do more of a manual process so that we don't use web crawlers. Web crawlers don't pick up everything you need to pick up. We use actual manual physical people to collect the data for you on a day-to-day basis. A whole team just sits there and farms the data all day long. And what's important that it is scrubbed for real estate. You know, the most important thing is making sure, yeah, 300 people may have died or 300 people may have filed probate, but did they own real estate? You know, and only 7 to 10% of the people that pass today actually own real estate, Brent. People are getting smarter. You know, mom loses dad. She's in the property by herself. She can't maintain it. She moves out, sells her property before she passes. So most people that pass don't even own real estate. So it's important that you know that we are farming for real estate when we're doing our data mining.
Well, and let's
from the house.
Yeah, for sure. And let's just set the foundation. What is probate?
A probate is a legal process wherein an estate has to be settled. So basically, if you don't have like a trust or like a property you've inherited, you're going to have to go through probate. You know, so if you don't put your property and inherited property to your children, the children are going to be left behind to go through liquidate the assets and settle the estate through a process that's called a probate. And that's a legal process. Depending on state to state, that may cost anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 to even possibly more, whether it's informal or summary or so on and so forth. So a probate is a legal process that they have to go through unless their property was inherited to them, or of course, if it's their homesteaded property too. So yeah, you have to pretty much go through probate. And that's a process overseen by the court and the judicial system.
Okay, so somebody owns a piece of property and they don't have some sort of documentation saying what happens to that property in the event of their passing. Is that essentially what it is?
Well, even if they have a will, they still have to go through probate. That's the whole point, is administering that will and making sure that it goes through the probate the proper way and the correct people get the property. So if they don't have a property inherited, they will have to go through probate if they don't have the trust. Like you said, if they haven't inherited it.
Okay, got it. So How many people, I mean, how many people set up trusts? I have a trust, but I just put one together. Like, it's like, it was kind of like a mystery to me in a lot of ways. Like, you put it into a trust and this trust now owns the assets and all these other things. How many people have a trust versus how many people have to go through the probate process?
Yeah, and it's more so inherited the property, if they've inherited the property, like you said. But not a lot of people, Brent. The percentage is so tiny. I don't know the exact percentage, but I know that most everybody has to go through probates because only 7 to 10% of the people that die will own real estate. And out of those people that die that own real estate, most everyone will have to go through probate. 99% of them are going to go through probate at least.
And it's really interesting, Tangi, because having this conversation is like kind of making me time travel to like 2013. And I had a friend that was making like $400,000 on nothing but wholesaling probate deals. And I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I go down to the court and I go down into the basement and I get this stack of it looked like it was like something written in Chinese or something. It was very confusing. And then you have to go to these old school Dell computers and you have to go into the computers. You got to put in the information. You have to see if they own property. It was this whole thing. So I did that. I went down there and I was like, this is a mess. I have no idea what I'm doing. I mean, this is pretty common around the country that most people are trying to go to the actual courts, to go to the recorder's office to get these lists and have to filter through it all to see if they even have property. Then they have to figure out a way to get a hold of them.
Well, not even that, Brent. If there's 50 John Smiths, you have to try to find the right one with real estate. And then you look at the middle initial and then you narrow it down to 5 John Smiths and you have to try and pick the right one. I mean, it's such a long and ridiculous and tedious process. We teach all the investors to delegate your minimum wage duties so that you can focus your percentage of your time on revenue generating activities. And this is not a revenue generating activity for you. This is something that you should delegate to the professionals to do it for you. If you have that much time to sit around and go to the courts all day long and research 25 properties, well, you're not investing in real estate the way you should now, are you?
Well, and the stats that I pulled here in Phoenix, in Maricopa County, where I live, 75% of the people that inherited properties through probate sold that property within the first 90 days of new ownership. Is that pretty typical around the country? I mean, are most people liquidating the property and then figuring out what to do with the proceeds, with the money that they get from selling the property? Or are a lot of people holding on to them?
Well, most people, when they get ownership of the property, they pretty much try to sell it right away. I mean, that's their goal. And that's the thing, is you're dealing with a motivated seller. You're dealing with a person who typically don't want the property. When you work probate, and we'll talk about pre-probates too, hopefully, but when you work probate and pre-probates, they by far are some of the best leads you'll ever get. They typically have a lot of equity. They usually don't mind taking a discount. They're very motivated to sell the property. And because they didn't buy the property most of the time, they don't have skin in the game. So you can typically get them for deeply discounted wholesale pricing. And a lot of people have a misconception, oh, if I get a probate, I can't wholesale it. Well, yeah, actually you can. I mean, I have a lot of people that wholesale properties on probates every day, all day long.
Oh, I know people that have built $1 million companies on just probate. I mean, that's all they focus on. They're obsessed with it. And that becomes like their stalker list to go after and to try to have a conversation with the family. And what I found is something really interesting. When I started calling these probate or the families or the people in charge of the property once it goes through the probate process, what I found was oftentimes these properties are really dated. I mean, some of them weren't totally destroyed, but oftentimes these properties were very dated. It was an older person that owned it. It needed a complete renovation, and the family didn't have the financial means to be able to invest into the property to be able to get full market value for it. So they just wanted to sell it for cash. They didn't want to fix it up. They wanted to sell it as is. And it's one of the staples of our business is doing probate, working with probate leads for sure.
Yeah, you're dealing with older people. So people that may have had their property for 50 years. So which means A, they're typically paid off. free and clear, if not close to it or have a lot of equity. They still got the old horse and buggy wallpaper, the linoleum flooring. So, I mean, and the thing is you want to send the message out, hey, don't clean, don't pick up, don't rehab, don't repair. We'll buy the property as is. Well, and like you said, they're older, they have their own property. They typically don't want the property. They have motivation. They don't want to hassle with fixing it up. And most people live week to week. Most of these people that you're dealing with are not investors. So they live week to week. They can only afford one mortgage. I mean, so, you go in there and you structure it. And let's say you're working a pre-probate, which we'll talk about hopefully soon. But when we do talk about a pre-probate, let's say that you're working a pre-probate and they just died a week ago. They don't have the money to even start probate. And a lot of states only charge like $1,500 to $2,500 to do probates. And a lot of these attorneys, you can work up a deal with them to get them to do the probate for you for just the filing and processing fees to start. And then you take the funds out of the closing of the owner that you're buying it from. Yep. So let's offer somebody $80,000 on the property. Well, guess what? When you go to close, they're only getting $78,000 because it cost you $2,000 to do their probate.
Right. Yeah. 100%. So talk me through a pre-probate.
A pre-probate basically means that they died a week or so ago. We verify there's real estate attached, and then we give the lead to you 1 week later. And the benefit of using a pre-probate is not only are you first at the door, Brent, because it's typically a week after the death, but if we will verify that they own real estate and give the lead to you 1 week later. But if they inherit the property via a trust, they're never going to make it to the probate list at all.
Right.
And also you can offer to help pay for these people's probates. Get yourself hooked up with a local attorney who will close your probates for you for small filing and processing fees. And they'll wait till you get the property for the rest of their fees. And there's a lot of attorneys that will do that. You're bringing them business. You're increasing their revenue while lining your pockets and theirs at the same time with helping the person in the probate that may lose their property in foreclosure. You're actually becoming a savior to everybody in general. You're helping people who typically end up losing their property in foreclosure because they can't afford to go through probate or anything else for that matter.
Well, and I think that's the important point to make because it is a sensitive time in a lot of families' lives. You know what I mean? They've got a lot of things, a lot of moving parts going on. Somebody is now responsible for the whole, all of the assets. Somebody's responsible for making sure that they're managing their family. They're making sure there's a lot of people that, there's a lot of different conversations and personalities that happen when somebody passes and their assets start getting divided up. You know what I mean? So it's a very, very, very stressful time. Not just in the passing, but also in the process of moving forward and what do you do with the assets that were left behind. And I've always found that when we work with somebody that is in a probate situation, after we're done, they are like the happiest sellers that we've ever worked with. Like for real, Tangi, they're just like so excited that we were able to come in and take something off their plate. Because every conversation, and I'm not joking, every conversation goes, yeah, my family like dumped this on me because I'm the only responsible one. That's a conversation we have every single week is, yeah, I'm the one that has to do it. I'm the organized one. I'm the one that has to go through all this, but I still got to work and I got kids and I got all these other things. So what we're talking about here is going after and having conversations with people that are truly distressed. Just like I started this conversation, this podcast with, is we need to go after people that have a problem that we can solve. This one is a huge one. It's a huge one, and it should be the focus. It should be one of the staple lists in every single wholesaling company's business. I'm telling you, it is so powerful because people will make that decision. They need to sell these properties. They cannot. A lot of people inheriting these properties do not have the finances to be able to invest in that or keep it as a rental or whatever. Whether they have the finances or not, their lifestyle does not allow it to just be simple for them, right? So it's another complex situation that we're able to solve, and it's a huge benefit. So you're saying that with pre-probates, you can get in, you can start the relationship with these people even sooner. Now, once a pre-probate comes, what is a realistic timeline, Tangi, from the time that you get a pre-probate list to the time that you can actually close a deal? Because there is a process here.
Okay, so and a lot of people have a misconception about that, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because let's walk you through an actual probate. Because a probate, some people are scared that it could take 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, or a year. But what people don't realize is you don't have to wait for the probate process to be done in most states to buy the property. You can pretty much buy almost right away, depending on whether they have full authority or partial authority. It doesn't matter. They can bring the offer to the judge like immediately. And put an offer on the property, and the judge just wants to know, how much are they offering you for it? What is it worth? Why are you selling it for such a discounted rate? Well, it needs a new roof. Boom, just signs right off. The process is not long like everybody thinks. But what I have found is when a person has passed away, it's usually 1 to 3 months before an actual probate is filed. And it's mostly because the people don't even realize they even have to do a probate. Okay, they're scurrying around, they're trying to find the will, they don't know what to do, they're scared, they don't have any money. They're waiting to talk to an attorney. They've called a million people. But if you reach out to them, be like, look, I can help you. I can file a probate for you, get that filed for you right now. Oh, it's homestead? Oh, you don't have to put it through probate. It's a homesteaded property. There's all kinds of things that you can help them with right now. No lines, no waiting. So if it's a pre-probate and it does have to go through a probate, you can help fast track that tenfold by just offering to help pay for the probate, or letting them know that they don't have to go through one if it's a homesteaded property or it's inherited via a trust. A lot of people don't think that. And even if they do have to go through probate, like I said, and they don't know that they can bring the offer to the judge. They're going to tell you, oh, we got to go through probate. We got to rehab the house. It's going to be like 6 months before I can sell this. You'd be like, oh, no, that's not true, ma'am. I can actually help you right now. But the biggest mistake people make when they call a pre-probate or a probate is they start the conversation off with deepest condolences and sympathy. And you can't do that, nor can you do that in your marketing. You have to be real simple, basic, like your cold calling program, Brent. It's amazing what you teach people. If I were a person that was getting into real estate and I was an investor, not speaking like I am today, I would want your program, because everything I heard on your webinar was amazing. And the 5-hour deal that you're offering everybody, where you do your little course thingy, whatever, I cannot believe the knowledge people come out of that with. It's just ridiculous what you do for people. And you can teach people and your team how to talk to these people very generic. Hey, I was just reaching out because I'm interested in purchasing a property in the area, and I was just wondering if you guys are selling a property or know of anybody who is. It's just a very generic, simple, basic phone call, as well as mailers. You don't offer condolences. You don't offer sympathy. You treat every single lead the same. It's a human being who may have a property for sale that you may want to buy. There's no reason for any different phone calls per list and all these different things and all that people think. So, you're the expert at it, Brent.
Tangi, I probably get 10 to 20 DMs or texts from my TTP family. What script should I use when I'm calling probates? And I tell them the same thing, the same script. Listen, the conversation is about the property. Now, obviously, being sensitive to the situation, having a lot of empathy for what's going on, but that comes through with the service that you're providing. You know what I mean? If you really want to benefit people, then have a good quality conversation with them that starts with, hey, would you consider an offer on this property? That's how you start it. It's not going in and this whole, really kind of, dark cloud over the conversation that's like, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss, and then getting into that. It's about the property and solving that problem. They've got a lot of other things to deal with. All right. We are there to help them with the property. Obviously we can help them, by being kind, by using our own, skills and the way that we communicate and the way that we stay in front of them so that they know that we're there and we can support them. Absolutely, you can do that, but it's about solving the problem with that property. So stick to the script, stick to the TTV script. If you need that, talktopeople.com. Definitely download that script there. If you haven't already, it is the absolute best when it comes to cold calling for wholesale deals. But let me ask you this, Tangi, because there's a lot of confusion about this. In a probate, who should I be talking to? Who makes the decision on this property?
In the probate list, not the pre-probate, because the pre-probate, we only have the decedent's name and address, right? And you'll only be addressing the family members, or when you skip trace, I'm sure you'll get the family members' phone numbers as well. But in the probate, you want to reach out to the PR if it's available on the list. PR stands for personal representative. Some states, they stand for applicant. Some states, it stands for the executor or the executee, if you're the woman. So, I mean, it just depends on what you're calling it. But we always call it the personal rep, no matter what state you're in. So PR is the person you want to speak with, which is the personal representative. And a lot of our lists come with the PR's names and addresses. And if it doesn't, it's really not a big deal because you can skip trace the decedent, and a good skip tracing company will typically give you the decedent's phone number as well as the surrounding family members in the area and their phone number too. So not only can you call the decedent's phone, you'll be able to call the family members' phones, and you'll be able to mark it to the property and put to the Smith family. And if the PR address is provided, you can mark it to the PR as well as the attorney. And there's so many relationships I'm going to help you create, because you're going to create a relationship with the person who answers the decedent's phone. You're going to create a relationship with the family members who answers the family member's phone. You're going to create a relationship with the PR, and you're going to create a relationship with the attorney. And creating a relationship with the attorney is going to be a ripple effect, because it's going to help them give you their probate list from now on and any REOs and stuff that they might have. And on top of that, guess what you have? A list of attorneys who can do probates, right?
Well, absolutely. And listen, if you want to get in with probate attorneys, give probate attorneys business. That's how you get a nice referral, relationship with a probate attorney. Is you give them business. You know what I mean? I mean, that's what it's all about. So let me ask you this: what is the conversation like if you don't have the money to pay for these people's probate, but you want to see if there's an attorney that will do it and get paid from the purchase of the property in escrow? Is there a certain strategy that you suggest people use when having that conversation with a probate attorney?
So basically, what you want to do is reach out to the attorney, and the first thing you want to let them know is that you want to help make them money and bring them clients, that you have a lot of client base that you can bring them. That's how you're going to get your foot in the door. So you want to let them know that, listen, I have a lot of clients I'm going to bring you. So not only am I going to be your client, but I have a lot of others I'm going to bring you. You have no idea what I'm about to do for you in your business. However, what I need from you is I need for you to help me help you. This is going to be a two-sided relationship. I'm going to help you and you're going to help me. And we're both going to make out like bandits here, because I'm going to need you to start the probate process for small fees, because I can't afford you to pay you for a bunch of these, and I'm going to have a bunch. So you want to get their mouth watering, you want to get the juices flowing and let them know, listen, if you do this for me, you're going to have all these deals, and I'm going to give these people money for their property. So they're going to have the money to pay you, period. Hands down, you're an attorney. We can write a contract up that outlines anything we need to know. And by the way, speaking of attorneys, when you write the contracts with the client that you're going to get to buy their property after you help them pay for it, right? There's things you can write in the contract that make sure that they can't sell it behind your back.
Right.
But sometimes, Brent, as well as I do, they get out of contracts. You can take it one step further and go to the courthouse and file a memorandum of interest, which is also known as an affidavit of interest against the property, so they cannot sell it behind your back. Now, as far as the attorney is concerned, what do you have? You now have an attorney who likes to write contracts. You know what I mean? So, it's just a win-win situation all the way around. And if you let them know that you're going to make them money, of course they'll wait for their money. They want paychecks just like we all do.
I love it. Well, that's the exact relationship that I have. I have the money to pay for the attorney, but I would rather pay it through escrow. And that's the relationship that we had. And honestly, it was really easy to set up, Tangi. It was really easy. It was one conversation. We showed them what we did. And because I literally had a conversation that said, listen, I call people all day long. I have a team of people that call people all day long. We call every probate in town. We can bring a lot of business, but I need to make sure that this gets paid through escrow. And it was boom, done, not a problem. Anything we need, boom, done, incredible. We're going through a process right now that has been in the courts for a while, but it's going to be an over 6-figure deal from a probate. And it's just absolutely incredible. And as a testament to how powerful, going and helping people in the probate situation is, people stay with your service forever. I know people that have been using you for like 8 years or something. It's absolutely bananas. And people don't pay for a service that doesn't give them a return on investment. That's just
absolutely. Absolutely. And Brent, I don't know if you know this or not, but we created a little code for you called TTP.
Yeah.
Eyes, right? And anybody that uses your name, Brent Daniels or TTP, they're going to get 20 to 30% off if they are interested in purchasing a list. I mean, this is not why we're here. I'm just here to teach. But if they are interested in getting a probate list or a pre-probate list and they use TTP code, I mean, they're going to get 20 to 30% off.
And it's a staple. You have to. I mean, if you talk to anybody that's making over $100,000 in wholesale deals a year, everybody goes after probate. Everybody goes after probate. I mean, literally. I mean, you have to do it. But you know what? You know what I found, Tangi, is most people are just mailing them. Most people are not picking up the phone and calling them. So there's a huge advantage to getting this list, getting the phone numbers, picking up the phone, and asking somebody if they would consider an offer on that property there, because you're going to get to them a lot faster than that mail, because the mail, the mailbox starts filling up, right? People start mailing those people and they start sending all sorts of things. If you get to them first, if you have that conversation, start building and become the guy or gal that's going to help them in this situation, they're going to work with you. They're going to work with you.
Yeah, and people love to limit their capabilities, right? So, I mean, you don't want to limit your capabilities of reaching out to your seller. All you're doing is hurting yourself. That's like going out buying a brand new pair of shoes, but only walking on a tippy toe because you don't want to use your whole shoe. Right. It makes no sense, right? But what we found, Brent, is the reason why most people do that is they can't afford to market and multi-marketing with cold call, SMS, ringless voicemail, depending on if it's legal where you are, mailing. And we believe the two best sources are to call, mail. However, if you go one step further, and let me tell you, and you go to the property and you knock on the neighbors' doors, there's your phone numbers right there.
That's it.
Absolutely. You get those phone numbers of those PRs. If you can't get a hold of them on the phone, you take all the ones that your team couldn't reach, Brent, you mail them, and then you go door knocking.
That's it.
And while you're door knocking, you're driving for dollars. Again, So, I mean, it's a win-win situation all the way around.
Well, it's being proactive. You know what I mean? It's not waiting around for them to call you. It's not because, listen, if they're calling you, you're going to be in competition. If you get to them first before they start calling through that stack of mail, you're going to have a better shot at it. Now, does mail work? Sure, you could get in front of them and work with them. But I'm telling you, if you're being proactive with probates and pre-probates, and you're talking to that personal representative, woo, you've got a huge distinct advantage. And I'm pushing everybody to be as proactive as possible, because why wait around? Like, let's go after it right now. Let's not, and if you don't have a huge budget, go to the door. If you can't even call them, because listen, everybody has a budget for skip tracing. It's 15 cents an address, and these aren't huge lists. I mean, what's the average size list in a major market on a monthly basis?
For the price that we quote, we never give more than 25 leads a week for probate and pre-probate each. And I know it sounds like a small amount, Brent, but honestly, most counties don't have that. Right. Like big counties like Hillsborough County, Florida, or Broward County, Florida, or Middlesex County, Massachusetts, yeah, they're going to have 25 a week, but most counties have, 10 to 15 to 20 to 25. So it's so cheap, you can totally afford to have you guys call it for them and do the cold calling and stuff like that, or however you guys work your program. But it's so cheap. When you work these types of leads, you're going to work a small group of people, but you're going to yield a much higher return because you're targeting people who want to sell their property versus people who typically do not. Who cares if you have a list of 18,000 names if they're not going to get you anywhere? If I can get you 25 names a week and you want 1,800, buy more leads. I mean, I'm making it possible for you to be able to afford to do multi-marketing.
Love it. ProbatesDaily.com, right? ProbatesDaily.com. Check it out. You are nationwide?
Yeah, we're nationwide. Absolutely.
Incredible. And you've got an army of people that are like doing all the heavy lifting to get these pre-probates and probates?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you go to www.probatesdaily.com and you type in TTP, how did you hear about us? Brent Daniels, TTP. On that code, you'll get 20 to 30% off at probatesdaily.com by filling out that form. And I will personally call you, myself or my assistant. One of us will be talking to you.
Love it. Tangi, you are the best. Thank you for coming on here. The Rhino Tribe loves you. You've been at our events. You've always supported us. You've been phenomenal, and everybody that I talk to just loves the list that you give them. They're using it every single day, and it saves them so much time. So love it, Tangi. Absolutely. Thank you for being on here. Everybody out there, a couple little resources. Tangi mentioned a 5-hour training, ttpworkshop.com, ttpworkshop.com. It is titled Do Your First Wholesale Deal. Absolutely incredible training that I put together. It's 5 hours of on-demand training to get you your first wholesale deal. And of course, if you want to take it to the next level and join the most proactive group, the most proactive family in real estate investing, it is the TTP family. Go to wholesalinginc.com/TTP, wholesalinginc.com/TTP. And that's it. Tangi, thank you so much for being on here and kind of lifting the fog of what the heck a probate and a pre-probate is. I hope everybody checks out the site, probatesdaily.com. Use the coupon code TTP to get 20 to 30% off. And until next time, guys, I love you.
Thank you, Brent, for having me on. I really appreciate it.
You got it. And guys, listen, I love you. And as always, I encourage you to go out there and talk to people. Until next time, see ya.